Hello everybody, welcome to Canadian Immigration Channel. I honestly believe that most of you, if you're following our videos carefully, if you are trying to avoid typical mistakes, would eventually make it into Canada. But see, that degree of excitement upon arrival, it typically changes within the first several weeks from absolute excitement to absolute disappointment. And all because of the most typical mistakes made upon arrival, right? So we're gonna talk about those typical mistakes for newcomers to Canada. First one, and the most typical one, is of course job search, right? See, labor market in your home country and labor market in Canada, they differ, right? And approach to that labor market is different probably. There are lots and lots of people arriving to Canada every single day, and all of them are looking for a job. Therefore, if say you would send 10, 15, 50 or maybe 70 resumes and expect for you to be called for an interview, probably you will not be, unless you're a very lucky person or you have very specific technical skills. Usually, even if a position is advertised as an urgent one, it's good if it would be closed within 3-4 months. So I would say fairly, if you send at least 100 resumes per day, you should be able to make it. Besides, I would say you have to have that plan B. Plan B for a survival job. So what if you're not able to nail yourself a job in software development? What if you're not able to do anything in financial market? What if you're not successful as a marketing specialist and not able to find yourself a job, right? Who would go and actually feed the family? You or your spouse? Who would go for that survival job? Would you go to McDonald's? Would you actually go and wash cars? Would you go and try to find yourself a survival job in your own industry as a janitor, as a cleaner in a bank or something, right? So have that plan B in mind. Second, probably in my list, would be poor financial planning. See, that excitement upon arrival, there are lots and lots of people in Canada who unfortunately would be using that. And that will probably start from the bank. The bank would offer you lots and lots of credit cards. All of them would sound to be good to be true, right? And all of them would actually have that fine print. So say this credit card is free of charge for the first 6 months. Right, you're used to have TV at home. Well, Rogers, Bell, whatever TV services provider would offer you nice services, could be as low as $10 per month, right? But there would be that fine print would eventually make your monthly bill as high as $100 or more, right? Same with the cell phone providers. I believe we had that video on cell phone providers before where we spoke about those. There would be lots and lots of mistakes people are making, right? You're renting something which is not exactly affordable. So you're not planning at least 1 year ahead. You want to rent a house versus a condo versus an apartment building. Okay, what would be the next one? Probably buying yourself a car. That is number 3. See, if you could stay without a car for at least 1 year, that would probably be the best solution, right? Or at least up to the point where you actually have that stable job. Because the car itself is a money pit. I'm not talking about gas prices. I'm not talking about the cost of owning the car by itself, but insurance, that could eat a whole chunk of your monthly budget, right? So probably if you could stay away from a car, that would be good for yourself. I know it's not that convenient. I know in North America it's quite difficult to stay away from driving a car, but that's necessary, especially in the first year. Now, mortgage would probably be number 4. And there would be lots and lots of agents, especially if you're using yourself a real estate agent who would tell you that, look, I mean, it's much easier to buy the property when you're a newcomer, right? Your credit line would be approved more easily. Why renting if you could own, and lots of those nice slogans. At the end of the day, sorry, but that's bullshit, right? Always look for somebody who would be interested in that. And of course, it's not you, it's your real estate agent who would be getting that commission from it. And what's happening, I got clients who actually landed in Canada and within the first month they nailed to purchase themselves a house. But look, you have to pay that mortgage, you have to pay insurance, you have to pay this, you have to pay utilities, etc., etc., etc. And that pile of bills, it would be growing like exponentially unless you have yourself that stable job, unless both of you, you and your spouse, are actually financially viable in Canada. But that never happens within the first several months, right? As I said, unless you have that very specific technical skills or something. So unless you're the very lucky person. So if you're looking to start, plan to start humbly, okay? Nobody would expect you to come here and form yourself into the new Bill Gates, right? Or a new sensation. No, just start low, forget about your work experience or forget about your experience back home, try to build your future in Canada. If you do that step by step, I know it's difficult, I know it's tedious sometimes, but all in all, within the first several years, you would achieve much more if you would just jump and start that high life, which lots and lots of newcomers are expecting. If you got questions, need an advice, feel free to drop us a line and we'll be glad to help you out.